Yo, tapping in real quick for this UFC fight night. Cannonier versus Caio, Borralho, and we're back in the apex for this one. And this video right here, this the full card breakdown and predictions with all the new additions that have been added to the card lately. You know what I'm talking about? I'll do my best not to hold y'all ears hostage for too long. Let's go ahead and dive into it, man. Now, that first fight of the night, that is still low-level women's MMA, and one of these young women still has a price tag next to her name that is by far one of the most, if not the most, unjustifiable price tags I have ever seen in my motherfucking life, and I'm not even exaggerating, man. We are in the UFC, and when we are talking about minus 1,000 and minus 1,100 or anything that's significant, there is a lot of proving ground that needs to be covered, in my personal opinion, for us to start being able to justify that kind of a motherfucking price tag and somebody being that big of a favorite and that money line being that fucking significant, man. I mean, come on. Again, it's all just my personal opinion, and regardless of how you feel about it, with Kong sitting at minus 1,100 on the money line, what the fuck is she going to do for your parlay, and what the fuck is she going to do for your single bet? It's a dog or pass, and it's a mandatory motherfucking sprinkle, in my personal opinion. I'll get off this in just a minute, man. I can't state it enough. And I know it didn't go this way. It's not the way it went down. We have to deal with it the way it is. But reality is still reality, man. And facts are still facts, in my personal opinion, man. And had Kong had faced the same 5 young ladies that Victoria had to face prior to this matchup, Kong would be 5-5 to Victoria's 9-5, and we would all be having a completely different conversation, in my personal opinion, because all 5, Natalia Silva, Melissa Gatto, Manon Ferrou, Erin Blanchfield, and Miranda Maverick all hand Kong a loss. And if she had to face them 5, like Victoria had to face those 5 prior to this matchup, then she'd be 5-5 to Victoria's 9-5, and this be a whole different motherfucking discussion. You understand what I'm talking about, man? One thing has nothing to do with the other, and I completely get it. But the level of opposition, man, it's not comparable. It's not comparable. Kong is 5-0 up against opposition with combined records of 25 wins and 13 losses. Victoria is 9-5 up against opposition with combined records of 58 wins and 16 losses. It's just not the same. She has been up against the higher level of opposition. Herself in her own right is the higher level of opposition. In my personal opinion, she is the better all-around mixed martial artist. And it's not a big age gap here. Like, old girls coming into the UFC, Kong at 32. Victoria's 34. There's no big age gap. There's no big size and she's not a better mixed martial artist, man. You know what I'm talking about? And that little bit of kickboxing that she might have in her back pocket, you can miss me with that. Because if anybody's trying to side with Kong based off of her little bit of kickboxing she might have outside the UFC, but you're the same motherfuckers that were writing off motherfucking Cesar Almeida when he was supposed to go against Boruca or whatever the fuck he was when I had Almeida taking him down. But you were also against Almeida, against anybody else. You were against Robelas de Spain. You're against all these other individuals that possess an immaculate skill set in the striking department because they're not mixed martial artists. Why are we making a case for Kong, who's faced fucking cans in mixed martial arts, but has a little bit of kickboxing? You know what I'm talking about? Fuck out of here. Miss me with that. This is a mixed martial arts match. She's coming in facing the highest level of opposition that she's ever faced in her life. You feel what I'm saying to you? And she's not coming in here at 22 years old with a 6-inch reach advantage. Now I'm talking about, and a significant, you know, level of opposition advantage. She has no advantages, in my personal opinion, man. You understand what I'm saying to you? It is what it is, and I already spent too much time on it. You know what I mean? At minus 1,100, nobody should even be arguing this shit no more. It's simply dog or pass, and in my personal opinion, a mandatory sprinkle, because you're going to be mad if you didn't do that mandatory sprinkle when this dog barks on the prelims to start the whole fucking night off. You know what I'm talking about? If and when this dog barks for the first fight of the night, I promise you, everybody who's on Michael is going to be feeling a little less confident. Because when this big dog barks, and Neil's still to come, James is still to come, you understand what I'm saying? It's going to make people, motherfuckers are going to start wanting to hurry up and run to the window and secure back doors. Like, goddamn, Victoria just barked. First fight of the night. God forbid gets rather inside the distance or something like that, because she is the better mixed martial artist, and she is the higher level of opposition in her own right. And I do have her barking to start off the night. But that's that with that. My bad, y'all. I had to do it, though, man. Because motherfuckers are killing me with this shit. 5-0 up against opposition with combined records of 25 wins and 13 losses. You should be 5-0. And you should have a 100% finishing rate intact. Not 2 decisions. You know what I'm talking about? It should be all knockouts and submissions against that level of opposition. You feel me? Because you would be getting knocked out and submitted had you faced the level of opposition that Victoria's faced. It is what it is, man. Josie Ann. Nope, it's not Josie Ann no more. My bad, y'all. So Victoria, the dog, the bark, to kick the night off. Now I'm talking about, then this is the night that nobody should be involved in. Know what I mean? They both making their debuts. We're not going to be able to gauge where their ceilings may or may not be based off of performances against each other. Sit back and, you know, let the motherfucking, let the performance be what the performance is. You know what I'm talking about? Ramaska versus Nathan, man. You know what I mean? And I know I got this thing somewhere. Nathan is 8-1 up against opposition with combined records of 47 wins and 10 losses. He has 1 knockout win, 1 knockout loss, 6 submission wins, and 1 decision loss. Ramaska 9-2 up against opposition with combined records of 83 wins, 39 losses. He has 5 knockout wins, 1 knockout loss, 4 submission wins, and 1 decision loss. Neither one of these young men know what it's like to win via going the distance. Both of them have lost the only times that it's going to the cards. You understand what I'm saying to you? They only know how to win via inside the distance. And on the Ramaska side, it's more so via KO, TKO, inside the distance, disconnecting you from your consciousness. On the Nathan side of things, it's more so via locking up that submission and getting you out of there inside the distance. You understand what I'm saying to you? They've both been knocked the fuck out. Know what I mean? Neither one of them have been submitted. And I don't see either one of these motherfuckers submitting the other. I can see a KO, TKO happen inside the distance to possibly get the finish. But either way you look at it, the level of opposition that these two young men have faced, in my personal opinion, is exactly the same. 8-1 up against opposition with combined records of 47 wins. 10 losses, 9-2 up against opposition with combined records of 83 wins, 39 losses. A couple more fights on one side. Other than that, it's exactly the same in my personal opinion. I'm a side with Ramaska for the sake of a pick, but I want absolutely nothing to do with it, not even in a haymaker. You know what I'm talking about? Fuck that. I don't want anything to do with these fights. Ramaska's the pick, though. So it's a dog to kick off the card and bark. Then it's Ramaska against Nathan. Then it's Jacqueline still against Josie Ann. Low-level women's MMA. I'm just siding with the individual that possesses 6 inches in height and a few inches in reach. Josie Ann, 10-2. Up against opposition with combined records of 34 wins and 20 losses. You're going to have to bear with me. When my baby Rhea go off, she go off. That's why she's named Rhea, the goddess of war. She's fucking vicious. 93-pound boxer dude. You know what I'm talking about? Her mom was a boxer and her dad was a black lab. You know what I mean? She vicious, boy. It's my baby, though. Victoria to bark and kick the card off. Ramaska after that. Then Jacqueline. It's low-level women's MMA. Hey, Lorraine! Josie Ann 10-2 up against opposition with combined records of 34 wins and 20 losses. Jacqueline 6-1 up against opposition with combined records of 20 wins and 16 losses. No discrepancy in the level of opposition that these two young women have faced. I do feel like Josie Ann's fights inside the UFC have been of a bit higher level of opposition than that of anything that Jacqueline has faced, but Jacqueline's still the pick for the sake of a pick, man. You know what I mean? So Victoria, Ramaska, Jacqueline is still James for me over Borralho to do the better body of work over the course of 15 minutes, man. Possibly get him out of there inside the distance, but either way by unanimous decision, man. Borralho is the cleaner, crisper boxer, but that's it. Not the better all-around striker in my personal opinion, and he's at a 4-inch reach disadvantage. He does know how to close that distance and crash that range quite well. You understand what I'm saying to you? But I like the all-around mixed martial arts game of James to get this one done and produce the better all-around body of work absolutely everywhere over the course of 15 minutes. Use that reach to his advantage on the feet and secure the takedowns when he feels the need to do so, and possibly put Borralho in multiple compromisable positions searching for the submission. But either way you look at it, just do the better body of work over the course of 15 minutes, man. So it's Victoria to kick the night off, Ramaska after that, Jacqueline after that, and James after that. It's Zach after that. You know, Zach is what? Where we at, Zach? Where we at, Zach? Zach is 6-7-1 up against opposition with combined records of 36 wins and 26 losses. Jose 11-3 up against opposition with combined records of 73 wins, 61 losses. Other than a few more fights on the Jose side of things, absolutely no discrepancy in the level of opposition that these two young men have faced, in my personal opinion, man. You know what I'm talking about? There is a height and reach advantage on Zach's side of things. I do like Zach to produce the better body of work over the course of 15 minutes, absolutely everywhere. And with that being said, I also feel like Zach is, out of these two, the more dangerous individual. You know what I'm talking about? So Zach's an easy pick for me on this one, man. Victoria Ramaska, Jacqueline James, Zach, and we got Dennis versus Francis. Both these individuals are 5'9". Dennis got a 70-inch reach, and he's switch stance, where Francis got a 72-inch reach, and he's orthodox. Dennis, 5 or 4 strikes on average per minute is what he, 4 or 5 strikes on average per minute is what he lands at a 42% striking accuracy, while Francis lands 3 or 4 on average per minute at a 33% striking accuracy. Dennis gets hit with about 5 per minute with a 45% striking defense, while Francis, he'll get hit with about 4 with a 53% striking defense, man. Dennis, he's not really shooting for them takedowns. You know what I'm talking about? He's trying to keep it on the feet, where he's going to produce a better body of work, and he's more dangerous. Francis, he'll normally lock up and secure 3 or 4 takedowns over the course of 15 minutes. That's at a 50% takedown accuracy, which is going up against a 72% takedown defense on Dennis's side. And I do like the team where Dennis resides, and I do feel like they will have his takedown defense legitimate enough to keep this one up with Francis to go ahead and do the better body of work over the course of 15 minutes and possibly land a nice clean shot to clip and disconnect Francis from his consciousness. I don't know why every time I think about Francis Marshall, I go back to In Living Color with Jim Carrey and Fire Marshal Bill, man. For whatever fucked up reason, my head just keep going there every fucking time I say Francis and think Marshall. You know what I mean? It is what it is, man. Dennis 12-4 up against opposition with combined records of 95 wins and 51 losses. He's 1-2 inside the UFC. Francis 7-2 up against opposition with combined records of 75 wins, 48 losses. He's 1-2 inside the UFC. Neither one of these individuals have really been up against a great level of opposition. When they have taken that next step up, they have both fucking failed. Dennis, you know, we could do without Sean and Jamal. Both of those losses, in my personal opinion. Francis, Gomes, I ain't gonna harp on him about that. I like Gomes. I personally don't feel like that's a bad loss. Isaac, to be determined. I'm not high on that guy in any way, shape, form, or fashion. You understand what I'm saying to you? With that being said, you know, not necessarily sure. Now, Francis, the fight with Gomes, I rank Gomes as a higher level of opposition than that of a Sean Woodson or a Jamal or anybody else that Dennis has fought. Not necessarily how much experience Francis was able to gain from that loss or what he learned from that. You understand what I'm saying to you? I am siding with Dennis to be the one to get this one done via KO, TKO, inside the distance, or just by, you know, stuffing enough of the incoming takedowns to keep it on the feet and produce the better body of work, where I feel like he's just going to slightly land a bit more and out-volume Francis on the feet in the striking department, while also landing the more significant and powerful shots and causing more damage. You understand what I'm saying to you? The body of work he's going to be able to produce on the feet in the striking department will outweigh leaps and bounds, in my personal opinion, the body of work that Francis will be able to do if and when he's able to secure takedowns over the course of 15 minutes. So Dennis is the pick, and that's the prelims, man. Victoria as a dog to bark and kick the card off. Ramaska for the sake of a pick. Jacqueline, James, Zach, and Dennis, man. You know what I'm talking about? Up to the main card. It's Edmund versus Gerard. Edmund versus GM3. And it's Edmund for me, man. You know what I mean? The price tag's getting a bit ridiculous, just like every fucking body else's, you know what I mean? But that's much due to the fact that everybody else's are already, well, everybody else's the individuals like are already fucking ridiculous, so now they have to parlay up these other motherfuckers, you feel what I'm saying to you? But if this was a few years ago, I'd be making a case for GM3. You know what I'm saying? But this isn't a few years ago, and GM3's takedown accuracy is just not that great. His wrestling offense and grappling offense, like, it's just all not that great, man. It's not that great. He's well-rounded. He's solid. But getting the fight to the ground is not his best area. You feel what I'm saying to you? And Edmund has worked on that area significantly, very much so. You understand what I'm saying to you? And I feel like it's legitimate enough to keep this fight up and produce the better body of work over the course of 15 minutes. Now, listen, this might be a little bit crazy to some motherfuckers, but I can see Edmund getting this one done via submission, man. I can see GM3 getting a little bit, you know, reckless with his takedown attempts, and Edmund snatching up a, you know, a neck or a limb in his own right to get a submission inside the distance to secure this victory. I could also see him clipping him and disconnecting him from his consciousness as well as winning a decision. You know what I mean? GM3's only route to victory would be to, you know, secure the takedown, put him in a compromisable position, and sink in that submission. And I just don't think it's happening in 2024 against Edmund. Maybe in 2021, definitely in 2019, not in 2024, probably not even back in 2023. You know what I'm saying? But that's that with that, and that's just me. On to Neil and Michael. And for me, it's still Neil, man. You know what I mean? And for everybody, it should just be a dog or pass as long, you know, as far as adding this leg to your parlay is concerned, man. The boy is sitting at minus 1,000. Probably creeping above that now. He does nothing to your ticket. You know what I mean? Maybe if he's your 10th leg, 9th or 10th leg, he might do something decent to your ticket just based off of him being your 9th or 10th leg. Other than that, man, this man's not doing anything to your ticket. So it should be a sprinkle on Neil or a complete fucking pass regardless of how you feel about the fight. Know what I mean? Mike, 16-0 up against opposition with combined records of 97 wins and 44 losses. He just hasn't faced the greatest level of opposition. You understand what I'm saying to you? He has taken somewhat of a step up since coming into this division inside the UFC. You understand what I'm saying to you? But with that being said, man, like, it's not like Mike's in there looking magnificent, immaculate, just like flawless, and, you know, he's not. He's having his moments. Individuals are having their moments against him, and he's catching a dub. You know, Neil has undeniably faced the higher level of opposition, man, in my personal opinion. You cannot deny the body of work that he's been able to produce over the years, and I, for one, am not turning my back on him. I don't feel like he's done. You know what I'm saying? He's still got something in him. He's still in great fucking shape. He's still competitive at the highest level where he's been competitive for the longest time. You know what I'm saying? And rightfully so, as Michael creeps his way up, he has to face this level of opposition. But Michael normally has the height and the reach advantages. You understand what I'm saying? Two advantages that he does not possess in this matchup. Neil does have the reach advantage, and neither one of these individuals are high-volume strikers. Neither one of these individuals necessarily pack the most power in their punches. Michael is not somebody I have to worry about one punch knocking out Neil Magny. And Neil Magny is not somebody I have to worry about recklessly pursuing Michael, so Michael could catch him with a powerful hook. You know what I mean? Like a counter hook. A check hook would be the only powerful one shot coming from Mike, in my personal opinion. He's very smart. I'm not saying he doesn't have power. Don't get it fucked up. He's very smart. He's very technical. His IQ is very sharp, hence why he picks his shots, and he sets up his power shots with combinations. You understand what I'm saying? He's not just out there slanging and banging. He's not just out there one jab, boom, and trying to load up down the... He's loading, you know what I mean? He's peppering you up. He's setting up his shots. You know what I'm saying? With his little off his combinations are coming his power shots. Like he's setting up his power shots. Very technical matchup is what this is going to be. on the feet. And boy, oh boy, when they intertwine and interlock in a wrestling or grappling situation, it's going to get real fucking interesting, real fucking quick, and real fucking spicy, real fucking fast. Trust me when I tell you, man. Because I give the edge in those departments to Neil Magny, man. Unfortunately, he has faced the highest level of opposition in those departments in this division. Man, the experience is something that you cannot sleep on, especially when it's an individual who's not on his last fucking legs, man. This ain't somebody who's just, you know, been getting picked apart and looking horrible, man. You know what I mean? Neil Magny's very solid, very well-rounded, and a very high level of opposition in his own fucking right. It's going to be very competitive on Saturday night, man. Based off of those facts, Mike doesn't have the reach advantage or the height advantage to work for the jabs or to work for the kicks. That shit's very evenly matched up, and Neil edges it out with the reach. You understand what I'm saying to you? They're both neither one of them are relatively high volume because they both pick their shots. They're both very smart. They both set up their power shots. They're both well-rounded. They're both solid. It's only one who's been through the proving grounds. Michael's 16-0. This is another thing that I said at the beginning of the card, man. When we're talking about minus 1,000 and minus 1,100 on this money line inside the UFC in any division, there's a lot of proving ground to be covered. You know what I mean? Like, are you know, they're always going to go. That's inevitable. Regardless of the outcome on Saturday night, like, y'all got Mike beating up Jack Della Maddalena. Y'all got Mike beating up, like, you got Mike beating up a lot of these other motherfuckers at the top of the motherfucking heap and taking the title? No. No, not in my personal opinion. You know what I mean? I'd like to see him and Jack Della Maddalena. That would be a good motherfucking fight. But there's individuals at the top of that motherfucker that's just going to take him down, drag him out, and get him the fuck up out of here. Take that O. Maybe in spectacular fashion. So that O's going to go. That's inevitable in my personal opinion. It's just about when's it going to go and who's going to take it from him. And is Neil Magny the guy to be able to do it on Saturday night? Because one of these Saturday nights in the near future, it's getting fucking snatched from him. That's inevitable. You know what I mean? But again, that's all just my personal opinion, man. It should be a mandatory sprinkle on Neil's situation. Dog or pass anyway based off the price tag. Because minus 1,100 or 1,000 does absolutely nothing for you. Again, like I said, unless it's your 9th or 10th leg, man. You know what I'm talking about? Khan versus Marion. This is another one. Should be a complete pass. Two individuals making a UFC debut. Let them perform against each other so we can, you know, see them moving on. Because watching they perform against each other won't allow us to gauge where their ceilings may or may not be in the UFC moving forward. You know what I'm talking about? It is what it is. For the sake of the pick, I am rocking with Marion, though. Where we at? Marion Santos, 13-1 up against opposition with combined records of 71 wins and 56 losses. He's got 7 knockout wins, 1 knockout loss, 6 decision wins. Khan, he's 11-2 and 1 up against opposition with combined records of 54 wins, 29 losses, 2 knockout wins, 5 submission wins, 4 decision wins, and 2 decision losses. Now I'm talking about both of these motherfuckers know what it's like, you know, to get it done inside the distance to secure the victory for the night. You know what I mean? One of them knows what it's like to lose inside the distance via KO, TKO from being disconnected from his consciousness. That's Santos. You know what I mean? One of them knows what it's like to lose via decision when it goes the distance a couple times. And that's Khan. Khan's 11-2 and 1 up against opposition with combined records of 54 wins and 29 losses. 2 knockout wins, 5 submission wins, 4 decision wins, 2 decision losses. Santos 13-1 up against opposition with combined records of 71 wins, 56 losses, 7 knockout wins, 1 knockout loss, 6 decision wins. In my personal opinion, I went back and watched a little bit of what I could watch from both of these individuals as I didn't want to get too overly invested into it. I'm going to side with Marion over Khan to be the one to get it done in some way, shape, form, or fashion, man. Whether that's via KO, TKO, and catching yet another knockout victory on his record, or it's via decision. He doesn't know what it's like to lose when it goes the distance. Maybe Khan teaches him that lesson on Saturday inside of 15 minutes, but or after the 15 minutes. But I'm going to side with Santos to be the one to get it done, man. You know what I mean? So Santos is the pick. For what it's worth, it's Marion. Robert versus Ryan. Huh? Robzilla versus Ryan. Just yet another one. They got them back-to-back on the main card for whatever fucking reason. But yet another one that should be a complete pass. You can't gauge where their ceilings may or may not be inside the UFC based off of performances against each other either. I'm a rock with Robzilla. Don't ask me why. I watched the body a little bit on both of these guys. I'm not impressed by either one of them in either way, shape, form, or fashion. Just give me Robzilla. Give me Robert over Ryan. You know what I'm talking about? Then it's Angela versus Tabitha, and I'm still on Angela, man. You know what I mean? I get it. The 10-2 sitting next to Tabitha's name, mixed with the fact that she's 29 years old, which is 10 years younger, is a lot more appealing than the 17 and 13 next to Angela's name, mixed with the fact that she's 39 years old, 10 years older. You know what I mean? But Angela is still in her prime, her absolute prime. This is the very best Angela Hill that we've ever gotten the opportunity to see. On Saturday night may very well be the very best performance from Angela Hill that we have ever had the opportunity or may ever have the opportunity to see again. I believe that the Angela Hill that we've been able to see the last 36 to 39 months to now, you understand what I'm saying to you? Win, lose, or draw has just evolved every fucking time that we've seen her, man. Even in the motherfucking gym. Now I'm talking about practice rounds. She just gets better, man. And with all due respect to Tabitha, her body of work, you know what I'm saying? And what she's been able to do as of yet in her own right. I just like Angela to do the better body of work absolutely everywhere in every fucking department over the course of 15 minutes to secure the unanimous decision, man. You know what I mean? Maybe it's a split. Maybe overkill, overwhelms Baby Shark in the later rounds and gets her out of there inside the distance. You know what I mean? It's Angie for me, though. And it's still Caio in the main event over Jarrett, with all due respect to Jarrett Cannonier. His body of work, the level of opposition he's been up against, and his resume, which is to be respected. Everything above is to be respected in my personal opinion. And I am not sleeping on him in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I just firmly believe that his best days are behind him. Not now. He's not living in them. They're gone. You understand what I'm saying to you? And I say that with as much respect as I can. You know what I mean? I don't want to see him get finished again and then get finished again after this. You understand what I don't want to see him go out like that, man. His best days are behind him, where I feel like Caio is still coming into his best days. His best days are still to come. We haven't seen the best of him. You know what I mean? I can see him getting Jarrett out of there inside the distance. I wouldn't like to see it happen, but I can see it happening via submission in the later rounds. God forbid if it happens early when they're dry and he grips him up and gets him to the ground, because Caio is fucking vicious down there. But, yeah, that's the picks, and that's that with that. Now, while I got y'all tapped in, let's go ahead and talk about these parlay adjustments. You know what I'm talking about? Because, yeah. That's that with that. Did I do that for the boy, though? I did that, right? Yeah, I did that for the boy. All right, so check it, man. From bottom to the top, we rocking with Victoria as a dog to bark and start the card off. It's Ramaska, Jacqueline, James, Zach, and Dennis for the prelims. You know what I'm talking about? Main card, it's Edmund, Neil, Marianne, Robert, Angela, and Caio. You know what I'm talking about? That's that with that. Now, as far as these parlays go real quick, my daughter just came home. As far as these parlays go real quick, while I got y'all ear, man. With Danny Boy being out of the fight with Dennis, that's fucking. Wow, man. They all want their love when you come through the door. And at 93 pounds, 89 pounds, and 54. 93 is the boxer door, 89 is the husky, and 54 is the boxer. They a bit much to deal with, man. You know what I'm talking about? My babies, though. Alright, so check it out, man. With Danny being gone, right? That fucked up the foundation. You know what I'm saying? But with that being said, we still have, with the 3, we still have a combination. We still have a foundation to start building off of. That's a plus money number. You know what I'm saying? At least we starting from plus money. Where you go from there is really very much a pick your own poison type of situation now. You know what I'm saying? But Zach, Edmund, and Caio, they come at plus 117. Now listen, if you want to add Michael in there, it's only going to take you from plus 117 to plus 139, and that's not that big of a jump for the amount of stress that fight's going to cause. Trust me when I tell you, man. But if you want to add Michael in there, Zach, Edmund, Caio, and Michael come at plus 139. But again, Zach, Edmund, and Caio, they come at plus 117. If you like Tabitha, you touch Tabitha in there. Those 4 come at plus 319. That's Zach, Edmund, Caio, and Tabitha at plus 319. Or you swap out Tabitha, just like me, and you do Zach, Edmund, Caio, and Angela for plus 302. You know what I mean? If you like Jackie, but you want to stay away from them other 2, but like those 3, you can go Edmund, Zach, Caio, and Jacqueline for plus 224. You feel me? You can go Zach, Edmund, Caio, Jacqueline, and Angela for plus 498. 5 legs for almost 5 times your money. Or you can swap out Angela and swap in Tabitha and go Zach, Edmund, Caio, Jacqueline, and Tabitha. 5 legs for plus 524. You know what I'm saying? Me personally, I toss in Zach, Edmund, Caio, Jacqueline, Dennis, and Angela. 6 legs for plus 1181. I also did 5 legs for plus 593, which was Zach, Edmund, Caio, Jacqueline, and Dennis. You know what I'm talking about? Zach, Edmund, Caio, Jacqueline, and Dennis come at 590 plus 593. Now, if you like all these favorites, if you're on the side of all these favorites to get the job done, then you can catch 8 favorites for a little bit more than 8 times your money. That would be Michael, Kong, Zach, Edmund, Borshef, Caio, Jacqueline, and Francis. 8 legs for plus 822. But that's tossing that minus 1100 and that minus 1000 in there. You know what I'm talking about? It is what it is, and to each their own, man. But like I said, real quick, run it back. Zach, Edmund, and Caio, they come at plus 117, and I personally believe that that's a good foundation to build your parlays off of this week. But where you go from there is very much a pick your own poison type situation, man. Zach, Edmund, and Caio come at plus 117. Zach, Edmund, Caio, and Tabitha come at plus 319. Swap out Tabitha and toss in Angie. Zach, Edmund, Caio, and Angie come at plus 302. If you really like Mike and you just want to build off those 4 and you're cool with that plus 139, Zach, Edmund, Caio, and Michael come at plus 139, man. Me personally, Zach, Edmund, Caio, and Dennis. 4 legs for plus 366. If you don't like Dennis and you want to swap out Dennis and toss in Francis, you can get Zach, Edmund, Caio, and Francis at plus 267. Almost 3 times your money for those 4 favorites. Zach, Edmund, Caio, and Francis for plus 267. Or swap out Francis and toss in Dennis for plus 366. You know what I'm saying? You know, for what it's worth, man. And again, Zach, Edmund, Caio, and Zach, Edmund, Caio, Jacqueline, and Angela come at plus 498. Swap out Angela and toss in Tabitha as your 5th leg. Zach, Edmund, Caio, Jacqueline, and Tabitha come at plus 524, man. You know what I mean? It is what it is, you know. Do with it what you will. That 7-legger, you know what I'm saying? Michael, Zach, Edmund, Caio, Jacqueline, Tabitha, and James as your 1 dog. If you like that, that's still 1858. You know what I mean? And that's Michael, Zach, Edmund, Caio, Jacqueline, Tabitha, and James for plus 1858. If you just like Caio and James, you can catch Caio and James for plus 302. Caio, James, and Jacqueline come at plus 499 for that 3-piece. You feel what I'm saying to you? And 6 legs that I myself like personally and toss something on, staying away from those crazy favorites and all the nut shit. Jacqueline, James, Dennis, Edmund, Angela, and Caio. Those 6 got me plus 3,009. Again, that's Jacqueline, James, Dennis, Edmund, Angela, and Caio. 6 legs for plus 3,009. That's personally 6 legs that I myself really like. You know what I'm talking about? Staying away from the crazy favorites and the crazy underdogs and the individuals that are minus 500 or above. That's why Zach's not in there neither. You know what I'm talking about? Although I do like him, he crept up above that minus 500, and I wanted to do 6 legs that were away from those crazy favorites, man. You know what I'm talking about? And I like those 6 legs. And the fact that they came at plus 3,009, you know what I'm talking about? I was all right with that too. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's that with that. That's the rundown. That's the little bit of parlays, you know what I mean? Not a whole lot going on right there, you feel me? I will tap back in tomorrow and drop the prelims, the main card, and the whole card. I'm just waiting for some of these money lines to drop that have not dropped yet. I appreciate you for tapping in.